Something huge is happening with the UK's justice system, and it could affect thousands. There's a new policy on the books that means if you're a foreign national and get convicted of a crime, you could be deported before you even get a chance to appeal. And for one of the UK's biggest migrant communities, this changes, well, pretty much everything.
So what's this all about? It boils down to a pretty stark new rule. Deport first, appeal later. And yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like. If you're from a specific list of countries and you're convicted of a crime, you could literally be on a plane back home before your appeal even gets a look in.
Okay, so let's break this down. You might be thinking, is this totally new? Well, yes and no. The policy itself has been around, but what the UK government just did, they basically hit the accelerator, hard.
And when I say they hit the accelerator, I'm not kidding. The list of countries under this Deport Now, Appeal Later rule, it didn't just get a little bigger, it tripled. We're talking about a jump from just 8 countries to a whopping 23. That's a huge shift in strategy, no two ways about it.
And you've got to see who's on this new list. We're not talking about just a few small places. We're talking about major global players, key Commonwealth partners. Countries like Canada, Australia, and, this is the big one, India. Adding India to this list? That has some really massive implications.
So the big question, right, is why? Why this huge change and why now? Well, the UK government is pointing the finger at one really critical problem at home. Their prisons are basically full to bursting.
And this whole major policy shift is really being justified by one single number. Get this, 97.5%. That's how full the UK prison system is right now. I mean, when you're that close to the absolute limit, the pressure to do something, anything really, it just becomes enormous.
And here's the official line, straight from the UK's Home Secretary. The argument is that the old appeals process had become a kind of loophole. People could stay in the country for months, even years, while their appeals dragged on, all on the taxpayer's dime. This new policy? It's all about slamming that loophole shut. For good. So, deport first, appeal later. It's a snappy title for sure, but what does it actually mean for someone going through it? Well, it's pretty much a complete 180 from how things used to be done.
Here's how it works in a nutshell. A foreign national gets sentenced, and they are deported immediately. Now, the right to appeal is still there, technically, but you have to fight your case from your home country, thousands of miles away, through a video link. It's a whole different ballgame.
Think about it. In the old system, everything happened in the UK. You stayed there, you met with your lawyers face to face. But now, you're physically gone. The whole legal process is suddenly split between 2 different countries. This isn't just a small change. It's a fundamental rewrite of how a person's legal rights work.
Okay, let's zoom in on what might be the most significant addition to this list, India. You know, the relationship between the UK and India is just so deep, historically and right now. And to really get the scale of the potential impact here, just think about this number, 920,000. That's how many people living in the UK identified as Indian in the 2021 census. So we're not talking about a policy that affects a small group of people. This applies to one of the largest, most established communities in the entire country.
So what does this actually mean for people on the ground? It means for any one of those 920,000 people, getting a criminal conviction could now mean being immediately removed from the UK. It basically takes away their ability to fight an appeal from inside the UK with their feet on the ground there.
And you can just imagine the logistical nightmare this creates. I mean, just think about it. How are you supposed to have a proper confidential chat with your lawyer in the UK when you're on a video call from thousands of miles away? How do the courts even begin to handle evidence and witnesses across completely different time zones? And that's not even getting into the massive emotional and financial strain on families who are just torn apart by this.
Now, it's really important to see that this new rule isn't some isolated thing. It's actually just one piece of a much bigger picture, which is a pretty widespread crackdown on immigration by the new government in the UK.
And listen, this isn't just tough talk. They are absolutely taking action. Since the new government took over in July 2024, deportations of foreign offenders have already shot up by 14% compared to last year. The numbers don't lie.
And this crackdown is spreading. It's not just about people convicted of crimes anymore. We're seeing these really high-profile operations, like something called Operation Equalize. It was a week-long push targeting illegal delivery riders. The result? Over 1,700 people were questioned, and 280 were arrested. You know, you can really sum up the government's whole attitude with a quote from the Prime Minister himself. The The message is crystal clear, and it's not pulling any punches. The rules are getting tougher, the net is being cast wider, and if you're caught, the clock is ticking a whole lot faster.
So when you boil it all down, you're left with this one huge question. On one hand, the UK government is calling this efficiency, right? It's a way to clear out overcrowded prisons and patch up legal loopholes. But on the other hand, critics are calling it a direct assault on the fundamental right to a fair appeal. So that's the real question we're left with. In the rush to create a more efficient, more controlled system, is this a trade-off that's actually worth making?